Welcome to Bikes, Beers and Banter. This is episode 1, and I'm joined today by Alex Wynn, aka MotoTingle. Cue the applause. Alex, thanks for joining me today. That's a really interesting background that you've got there. Presumably, this is your workshop.
Green screen.
Green screen, yeah.
I
can
love
see that.
yours.
No, this is my workshop. This is not a
Lovely.
green screen.
I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah. So, MotoTingle. How did that's your handle on Twitter, yeah?
Yeah. I never actually thought you'd ask me that. Okay, so it just came about that I actually started on social media a long time ago, and it was when I first got diagnosed with kidney cancer, and so I wanted an online diary. So I used a different handle, and I just kind of got into Twitter, and then don't ask me how, but I'm still here. So one of the things that I changed in my Mark II life was motorcycles, and I said to myself, looking up at the ceiling in the hospital with pipes and tubes coming out of me, my missus just left me. Everything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong. And one of the things I said to myself whilst I was looking up at the ceiling is I haven't ridden enough motorbikes. So it's gone that way. So I think I think I explained it on there. It's the motorcycles, and the tingle bit is that little bit of a buzz, that little bit of excitement that you get from riding them.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I can have fun on a 125. I mean, I might be a big guy, but I'll still blap around on a 125 if I get the chance.
Brilliant. Yeah. No, I mean, Alex, you and I have known each other for a short period of time. We met on Twitter, and our relationship has blossomed since then. And we actually met at the NEC in December last year, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, in person.
Yeah, that was really good. Nice hotel, and you wined and dined me, so it was lovely.
Yeah. And the prof was there as well.
He was, yeah. What a guy as well.
JT.
I remember being up till past midnight, just talking to him, and in the beginning, he was just completely kerfuddling me with how you guys do what you do.
Yeah.
And then as the hours went on, or maybe it was the drink, I started to understand where he was coming from and his passion.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I'm totally dealing with a professional here.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah, really
good. John is an incredible individual. He's a professor at Loughborough University. He's got several business interests as well as being our technical director. And for all of his academic qualifications, he's just a top bloke, and
absolutely.
And he's into bikes as well. He's got a couple of triumphs. He's got a Triumph Trophy. I haven't seen that one actually. And he's got a Tiger Explorer. So yeah, he likes the Hinckley triples.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the bikes that are in your fake backdrop.
You're seeing a little bit of it, but obviously my two favourites are the X44 Teeth Ducati 999S, which was from Budget Bike Battle Italia, which was, for the guys at 44 Teeth, probably the worst budget bike battle that they did, because they got so much backlash because budget and Italian bikes don't go together.
Yeah.
So
I was going to ask you about this, Alex. Actually, so I'm aware of the 999. Is that an S or an R that you got? S. So I'm aware of that. Yeah. Oh well. Don't worry. I've got a Panigale S.
Oh, okay. You want to?
And I've on the side panels, I've actually got Ducati Corse stickers on it.
Hey, all
right? Which only appeared on the 1199R.
Cheeky.
Yeah. I didn't put them on. They were already on when I bought the bike. So I'm not taking them off. But my mate, or one of my mates, I've got a mate actually, one of my mates had pointed this out to me. He's a proper Ducati geek. And he said, the Ducati core stickers didn't appear in the 1199S. They only appeared in. So he's expecting me to take them off. So anyway, I took a photograph of the panels and shopped in an R in to replace the S. So sent that to him. So I fixed it. Totally fixed it. So the problem's gone now.
Yes.
So yeah, sorry, I interrupted you there,
Sorry.
Alex. Tell me. It's one of those questions that I've got about 44 teeth. That doesn't look like coffee.
No, it isn't. I've moved on to the beer.
So what are you drinking?
I couldn't pronounce it if I wanted to.
Wet.
So.
It's wet and cold.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
I support my local brewery.
Local to you, I don't know, but I know it tastes good. They
Yeah.
got in the
So
media recently, didn't they, for being bad to people, their staff or something. I don't know. They still taste good.
James Watt is the CEO at Brewdog, and yeah, he is a bit controversial. I think it's a fine line between genius and madman, and I think he walks that line. He walks that line quite often.
Yeah.
So anyway, cheers. Here's
Yeah.
your.
You and
Look, see how I can just make that beer appear and disappear into the ether. It's really clever, that, isn't it? So anyway, cheers, Slange. So I'll have to text message one of my daughters and tell her to bring me a fresh one out the fridge once this one's done. So anyway, let's talk about this 999S. Beautiful bike, some might say. My views on the 999.
Yeah, it's I've seen your tweets on it. So anyway, I never woke up one morning wanting a Ducati 999S. And what happened is the guys from 44 Teeth did their Budget Bike Battle Italia, and they were getting loads of grief online because there was no budget. And I went and bought a book. Now, I'm used to buying technical manuals. If I buy a technical manual, I might spend £50 on it, but certainly wasn't used to spending 30 to 50 quid on a book. So I bought the book on the Ducati 999S from whoever designed it, and I started reading it, and I started falling in love with Ducati. And then they came to the end of the budget bike battle. This 999 had got part way up through Europe and then puked its guts out and then had to be vanned back to the UK. And the guys put the MV Augusta and the 999 on eBay. I bid for the 999S as much as I could. It's like if you've ever played poker and you're all in with my small chip pile, I was all in.
Yeah.
And then I got outbid, and then I got outbid again. So I got outbid by these two fat cat bankers who wanted it as a trophy piece.
Rhyming slang.
That's what I was told, and Chinese whispers. And the next thing I know, the principal of a race team phones me a few days later. I'm already, forget it. I don't care about the 999. I've gone and bought myself an APG helmet, and it's a consolation prize. So I get a phone call from the principal of a race team, and he goes, "You're winning," and I went, "Winning what?" And he's like, "The Ducati," and I'm like, "No, mate, I got outbid days ago, like 4 days ago, I got outbid." And he goes, "No, you're winning, Alex." So I logged on to, and literally there was 3, maybe 4 minutes left of the auction. I logged on to eBay, and there it was counting down. And my son recorded it on his mobile phone at the time, and it counted down, and it got to like 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 2 seconds, and I'm expecting that last bid to go in.
Sniper.
And someone's took it from me. Fine.
Yeah.
And then it went, "You've won." And I was like, "You're kidding me, for real?" I couldn't. I was just totally blown away that I'd won. And then I contacted the guys. I went up to see them. I met them at Barnstormer Motorrad, and they literally shook my hand, turned me upside down, shook all the money out of me that I had.
Yeah.
And I got maybe 10 minutes with them before they maybe signed the B5 and booted me out. And then I took the Ducati home.
Wonderful. So who was the I don't understand. Why was the race team
Well,
manager?
he's just a friend of mine.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, sorry, he was just a friend of mine, and we'd just chat every so often. And he knew that I was chasing the 999, and so I guess he was also watching the auction, and he knew my username on eBay. So at the time, there weren't so many stars, so you could figure out who was who. And yeah, he just phoned me up, and I was like, behave. I lost that bike a long time ago.
so if this guy hadn't called you, if he hadn't phoned you, you wouldn't have been any the wiser that you'd
Oh no,
actually.
probably got an email from eBay saying, "Hey, you need to hand over a lot of money to this."
That's brilliant. That's a brilliant story. And I I don't follow 44 Teeth. I don't follow the guys. I know who they are. I've seen some of their stuff. Uh, so this was, if I'm not mistaken, the sale of this bike helped them through.
A tough time, I guess. It was just
Yeah,
a time that was tough for them. It was right at the beginnings or beginnings-ish of 44 Teeth. Now they've blossomed,
yeah,
and that's really good. That's what they wanted to be. I had supported them by following them, commenting on their YouTube, and just enjoyed the whole budget bike battle thing.
yeah,
And then I go and get that, and it's man. And I've even Chris from 44 Teeth had a good old laugh because I've kept it as original as possible. The only thing it's
yeah.
missing is a couple of 44 Teeth stickers, which Al Fagan said he would send me, and he never did. So, but apart from that, I've
Al,
kept.
if you're watching this,
Here's the kicker. That ain't no it's not some like showpiece. I use it. I
yeah.
commute on that motorcycle. Anybody that knows me locally, well, even the missus will tell you, I commute on that bike, and I put
Oh,
thousands of miles on it every year.
now I know you're lying, Alex, because I know that you
Really?
cannot you cannot commute on these bikes
Yeah.
unless it's a.
Yes, you can. Very short, very fast distances.
They need to. You need to. I took my my bike into town for a meeting a couple of months ago. So I live on the west outskirts of Aberdeen,
Nice.
and I thought it was a nice day, and I was meeting up with my shareholders actually, and we're going to have a catch up lunch. I thought I'll take the bike into town.
Yeah.
And as I started to get into town, into the heavier traffic, I'm in a big long line of traffic, waiting at a red light, and I'm watching the temperature gauge going up and up and up and up and up,
Really quick.
and I'm thinking, everybody's looking at this bike right now, thinking that's a really cool bike. But it's going to, any second now, it's going to cut out and it's not going to start. So everything's going to be, street cred, boof, out the window.
Oh no.
But I can't remember what temperature they cut out at, but I think it was about 108 degrees.
Okay. Wow.
So I think I was getting pretty close to, side stand down and walk into the walk into the restaurant. So, but yeah, uh, yeah, they do need a lot of airflow through them.
Yes.
They do like that.
But you got to ride at a pace.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I've got a mate who's got a 999 as well, and we affectionately call it Sally Gunnell,
Okay.
um, because it's nae pretty, but it's a good runner.
Oh, see, I knew it's okay. It was a turning point, and I just really enjoyed the story behind the creation of the bike. So anybody who's read the book on it, I think there's only one book. You can quickly fall in love with the effort that was put into it, and then yeah, I guess if they messed it up visually, that's a shame. But it rides so well.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's what my mate.
that's that's the beauty of it. I'm sat on it looking out, not looking in, so I'm fine.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
me, I've just got these a green speedo rev counter and this lovely red. Oh,
yeah,
and everything's warp speed. It's good.
yeah, absolutely. So what did you have to do to it? You said it just sort of had a bit of
Oh well,
a
if any
fart in it.
watched any
So
of the
apologies to Sally Gunnell if she ever sees this. I didn't mean it either. So
she is.
she's a good
But
runner.
okay. Yeah. Well, if you ever watched any of the 44 Teeth videos, you'd know that the motorcycle isn't the best at starting. And yeah, I found out why. So I just ended up stripping it, and that wasn't because I wasn't unhappy with it. I wanted to put it back into its prime, and I wasn't in a rush.
Yeah,
So I kind of started pulling it apart, and then you sit on the side of eBay, and then you wait,
yeah.
and then you wait until that thing that you're after comes along, and slowly but surely put the bike back, and now it really is in its prime, and it starts beautifully, and
Mm.
yeah, it rides well. I'm well happy with it.
Is that an open clutch basket I see there?
It is, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And you've gone for, well, you have a wet clutch, don't you?
yeah. Hmm.
Okay, but you've
Yeah.
gone and jaws up a little, haven't you?
It's only taken me 3 years, but I bought the Duca bike, um,
Okay,
clear clutch cover,
yeah,
and yeah, I was reluctant to fit that because I've seen them messed up really badly.
yeah, me
They
too.
they, they fog up really badly. But one of my mates had one on his 959, and he got his Ducati dealer to fit it for him.
Yeah,
And what they did was they fitted it, ran the engine warm, took the cover off again, wiped it down with just a paper towel,
brilliant.
refitted it, ran the bike again, and repeated that cycle a couple of times, and all the condensation was gone. So touch wood, touch wood. I haven't had any contents, but I have seen that actually it does um, cloud up in the cooler weather. So, but I don't take my bike out in the cooler weather. I'm not tough enough.
Well, every day's a school day. I wasn't sure what the procedure was. So,
Yeah, but I had a 748
nice.
uh, many moons ago. I think it was just when the 748 came out,
Okay.
and I put an open clutch basket on the 748, and it just to some, it sounded obscene, and to others it
Yeah.
sounded like sweet music. For
Yeah.
me, I was
The old adage that you stop at a junction and a car driver winds their windows down and goes, "Your bike's broken, mate," is true. It happens often.
yeah, they're looking for you towing that cement
Yeah,
mixer full of bricks.
it's oldie, but they won't stop saying the same joke.
Yeah, yeah, old ones are the best. No, it's a beautiful bike actually, with the exception of the front, of course. Uh,
Yeah.
I've what did is there? I haven't read that book actually. I don't even know the book that
I
you're
forget
referring
who,
to.
but a quick Google search will.
Did the author of the book address the elephant in the room?
Of course. What is the elephant in the room?
It's the it's what we call the sort of you know
Oh God. Yeah, I don't think they did.
no, no, just best not talked about then. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, they're so moving on from the 999. Yeah, was that CB 750 in the background there?
That's the 70 CB 750, and bloody hell, what a nightmare that
It's
bike has
okay,
been.
you can swear.
Everybody has lied to me. Hondas don't leak oil. That one does. Yeah, it's shocking. But then it's gone to rack and ruin. When I met it,
Yeah.
it was owned by a client of mine who was a GP, and we never really saw eye to eye because GPs have this. Certainly, some GPs have this way of talking down to you, and he always talked down to me. So I'd never even contemplate going for a pint with the guy. And
Hmm.
then I knew this bike back in the 90s, so I knew he did European trips on it. And then old age and ill health takes their toll. And I get a phone call from his daughter, and she says, "Dad says, will you buy his bike?" And I was like, "I remember that Honda. Oh yeah, I'd be interested in that."
Hmm.
And then she said a bunch of numbers that were just obscene. And then at that point, it's the, okay, well, I'll give that some thought and I'll get back to you. Never. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
paying that for it. 6 months later, I'd forgotten about it, and the son phoned up. And by that time, his dad had been taken into a care home. The dad was with the son, and I got to speak to him on speakerphone. And they came up with a much better number. And I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll pick it up," expecting to find a really nice CB750 because I paid fair money for it.
Yeah.
And no, I think it had been laid up since the 90s, and yeah, it just gone to rack and ruin. So even I don't get it right.
Yeah. As the bikes need to be run,
They
and
do exactly.
yeah, and all of those bits that go up and down and round need to go up and down and
They
round,
do. Yeah, so
Uh,
it kills me when guys and girls collect motorcycles and then they have them as
mm,
some kind of showpiece, if you like. And
mm,
there's certainly a guy on that I've mentioned before on YouTube that has a selection of Ducatis that he's so proud to say have never been started, and that
oh,
makes me so sad.
oh my goodness.
I mean, I'm not saying take it down a dirt track. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying give the bike some use.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of people do collect them. And I'm a big believer in documenting what I find. I try and put stuff up on YouTube, but
Yep.
mostly on Twitter because it's easier for me,
Yeah.
and do a few videos. And it was just really odd things. Like I ended up getting to a point where I got so fed up with the CB750's wiring loom and repairing it that I was able to get a brand new wiring loom for it aftermarket,
Yeah.
which wasn't easy to get hold of. Got it, fitted it to the bike, went out, took a lovely 50-mile ride, and then because it had a brand new wiring loom and all the lights were so bright and it was so happy,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
filled the ignition barrel. So like a 45-year-old ignition barrel just completely gave up on me, and I was stranded. So yeah.
You're pretty handy with the tools, aren't you?
Um, on occasion, I don't know everything, and I don't profess to know everything. I work really hard, so
Yeah.
I work a lot, and then this motorcycles is my passion and my enjoyment. So I have had to figure it out, I suppose.
Oh
I mean,
really? So you're not sort of formally trained. You
yeah,
didn't serve.
a long time ago, I used to co-own a garage for many years. So I worked on Porsches, so it was cars and motorbikes really.
Okay.
Uh, so that I got a lot of experience doing that, and then yeah, I just for kind of retirement's sake, if you like, I spend some time at a friend's garage and help them out. But it doesn't mean I'm not kind of like top motorcycle fixing territory, because there's guys and girls out there that can seriously twirl those spanners and do amazing things. They live and breathe it every day.
Yeah, of course. And no, I just thought that because I've watched some of your video content, you've helped me out actually with a couple of things in the past.
Okay, right.
Um,
Nice to share.
yeah, yeah. Uh, and I just thought that you'd had some sort of formal.
Yeah, I mean, I had in the past,
Yeah,
and then deciding to own a garage was quite a big step. So,
yeah.
business partner, and yeah, that was the 10-year run. That was all right.
But it's a little bit like I mean, if you've got the acumen, if you've got this sort of technical um, propensity for things that are technical, electrical, mechanical.
Yeah,
I think if you've got that, you can always build on it, can't you? You can all
you
it's
can build on it, yeah, but you've got to
yeah,
keep it up. So
yeah, yeah,
at the moment, I'm going through this phase, and this phase is rescuing old motorcycles. And I'm a bit of a Yamaha fanboy because they are just well engineered.
yeah.
But rescuing old motorcycles, the most recent one was Kawasaki Zephyr 750.
Saw that on Twitter. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh gosh, I've never owned a Zephyr. I've always looked at them, but people poo-poo them.
yeah,
And so when I got the opportunity to fix one up, I thought I would document it as best I could, and I put it up onto YouTube and a bit of Twitter, and it's a runner, and I love it to bits. It's really good. It's a great bike. I'm really happy with it. It's over there at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, and you've got one pretty special bike that's left the stable recently.
Oh, the R1
Mm.
is actually, I'm looking at it, so you're only seeing half of what I'm prepared to show. But yeah, I've still got the R1. It had
Oh, you've still got it?
yes, right here, right next to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you'd sold it.
No, I'm handing it over. I've part exchanged it. So I've ordered a brand new Yamaha XSR 900
Yeah, yeah.
and the R1 is a fantastic machine. I love it to bits, and I will have a more modern one in time. But I took it to Thruxton recently to support Yamaha, and it was baking hot, and that bike cooked me. It near killed me.
What,
Going
more than the Ducati?
the R1.
Yeah, but it cooked you more than the Ducati.
Yeah, it was proper hot. Yeah.
Really?
It wasn't like gonna explode. The bike didn't seem to care. It was the human factor. The bike didn't care. And so yeah, I took it to Thruxton. It was one of the hottest days of summer. I rode it back, and I just went, I can't do this. I need something a bit more upright. And so yeah, I went to Bridge Motorcycles in Exeter, and I signed up for an XSR 900. And then they obviously had two buyers for my R1, and these two guys that I didn't even know existed started bidding against each other. And they're like, Bridge are like, we need the bike, we need it now. And I'm like, I ain't giving you no bike, you ain't giving me a bike.
Yeah.
So that's why I still got it. I'm holding on to it. I'm not paying
Aha.
miles on it.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen here is this is not them, it's me. What's going to happen here is I'm going to hand over my R1. They're going to give it to somebody else, right? And then I don't know, God forbid, the ship that my bike's on sinks or something like that. And then I don't get my motorbike, and I'll be like, well, I'd like my R1 back, please. And they'll be like, oh, I can't do that. Give you a refund.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just hold on to it until they can actually produce the goods.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess those if those are buyers who are likely to know what they're buying in terms of the R1. Not too many of them would come along that often, I wouldn't imagine.
No, there were a few. When I said I was going to sell it, a few people were like, "Oh, it's I don't know, Chinese bearings or something like that." But actually, it turns out with a bit of research that it was a commission, and I don't know what, some race paint. Was that right? Race paint did it. So yeah. So obviously, it's special to a lot of people. It's been tuned and all that sort of stuff. So it goes for it.
Yeah.
It's the human factor. You don't want to know how old I am old, and I just can't take it.
Don't think you're as old as me, Alex.
I think I'm probably older than you. Yeah.
I've
just had an easier life.
I'm not playing that game because you'll win. So I had a couple of other questions here,
Right.
which I'd actually I just messaged one of my daughters and asked her to bring a refill, and I texted her, messaged her, and,
Right.
I haven't seen a refill come along my way yet. So sack the help. Yeah.
No, I don't have a beer helper either.
So it's interesting what your experience about mechanics, if you like. My family back in the 80s had 3 motorcycle shops up in northeast of Scotland, and it must have been early to mid 80s, and my brother and I did competition schoolboy motocross, and we had the little Yamaha YZ125s. Now you say you don't mind tooting along in a 125. These things were just mental. It's absolutely mental. competition motocross bikes, even though they are 125s. I mean, I must have weighed all of about 3 stone at that time, and
Oh wow. Okay.
hanging on to one of these things
Amazing.
was brilliant fun. Yeah, but we used to. So the mechanics in the garages were all, uh, OEM trained mechanics. So we had, they had Yamaha training. Uh, God, we had dealerships for Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki, Ducati,
Wow.
Laverda, Moto Guzzi,
Laverda. Wow.
Laverda, yeah. Uh,
I do
so
admire.
somebody broke into one of the shops and stole a Laverda Jota.
Oh God. What that
Yeah,
be today?
yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I learned a lot of the sort of mechanical stuff, if you like, through osmosis. So just
No.
lurking about in the
Yeah.
workshop, and just helping out the mechanics, from
Yeah.
whenever I was coming back from school, I would, rather
Oh.
than go home, I would go over to the shops and just help out in the
Oh.
workshops. So yeah, it's good.
For
Good when
me,
that lasted.
I was a kid, armed forces. So my dad was signals, but we lived on a base, and there were tanks and trucks. And so as a kid,
Brilliant.
hens, I was able to mess around with tanks and stuff like that. I never fixed a tank or did anything exciting. I might have driven a few trucks, don't tell anyone. But and so
Brilliant.
my love of mechanics kind of came from that early age.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
your first motorbike was a 125 competition bike?
No, that wasn't my first bike. No, no. So my first motorcycle was, I would have been 6 or 7 years old, and it was an Italjet 80.
Okay, all right.
Um, I actually thought it was an XR75, the Honda XR75, but because I don't have a photograph of the Italjet. But I remembered, oh, I had an Italjet very, very briefly,
Okay.
incredibly unreliable. Don't think I ever did any any riding on it. So it was a little scrambler.
Okay.
Um, so then came the Honda XR75, so something infinitely more reliable than the noisy, angry little Italjet. Uh, and then we had used to get my brother's hand-me-downs. So
Sweet.
he, yeah. So I would then I got my brother's Suzuki RM80,
Oh, good looking
and
bike. Yep.
and then I think it was an RM. I think it was an RM100. Honestly, can't if there was such a thing. But
We,
then we went to YZ125s and
well,
really, I mean, no doubt, privileged upbringing, absolutely,
oh no, it's all good.
and just loved every moment of it. And we used to, when I was young, um, oh my goodness, maybe about 16, I think. My brother was a couple of years older than me, and he used to work in the garage.
Okay.
So he had a key to get into the shop, and he disabled the alarm. So we'd go in there on a Sunday, and all of the second-hand bikes were in the back of the garage, and we'd just we'd just take our pick
Nice.
and head straight out. It was a little town in the northeast of Scotland, and
No,
GS 1000. I had a GS 1000 when I was 16 years
really?
old. It was fun times, and I just think, oh my goodness, how am I still alive? I've got
Oh.
no idea, jeans and Converse boots and uh, scrappy old helmet.
Oh,
Uh, uh, leather jacket and denim cut-off jeans. That was the level of protection that we had back then. But yeah, it was brilliant, great times. But as getting back to the point, I learned a lot mechanically, but there's a massive difference between a two-stroke 125 and all of those bikes that are sat behind you.
It's like anything. If you're not doing something constantly, you can fall out of sync with it. So I did
Yeah,
take a little bit of a break from motorcycles, and you fall out really, really quick. 3 years of not doing anything with motorbikes, and I now know what depression is. So now I've got
yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah. Well, I had a 15-year break,
Okay.
so and every single summer I would hear the bikes out
Yeah.
when I'm out, and I'm thinking, why did I get rid of that 748? Well, um,
You know,
business, children,
yeah,
marriage,
plus
there was also responsibilities. Yeah,
responsibilities.
so yeah, but I'm delighted that I'm back into it now,
Yeah.
and
A lot of
built,
people don't. So they accept their responsibilities, and they say that they will get back into something, whether it's cars, bikes, golf, doesn't really matter, and then they never do. And
yeah,
I think it's our responsibility to say to ourselves, there is so much that I will do for my family. I'll do anything for my family, but I need something. I don't
yeah,
need it from them. I need it for me to be the person that I am. And so um, in the past, when I have had girlfriends and a girl has made comment about the amount of time that I'm spending doing the thing that makes me the person that I am, then you kind of know that things aren't going to work out. It's not. Um, but yeah, it's. I took a 3 year break. I was convinced by a previous partner that I would be a lot safer if I didn't do it, and all this sort of stuff. And I don't see motorcycling as inherently unsafe. You don't sit down for dinner, do you, and get a fork and then stab yourself in the eye with it, do you? I mean, there's a reasonableness with what we do with motorcycles. Most of
mm,
the threats for us come from outside sources like other people on the road.
mm,
And with any sport, there's a few bad eggs out there, but you could say that of so many other things. I One of the things that was I didn't get to start at such a young age as you, um, but I was around motorcycles. My dad rode. My dad was just BSA, Triumph, um, and I remember my first motorbike. I worked right through the summer. I worked 7 days a week, and I'll give you the quick rundown if you like. Feel free to edit it out. But yeah, my dad was in the Falklands. He came back. He wasn't the same dad. He beat two bells out of me and my mum for years and years and years. She finally divorced him, and then I had to be the breadwinner. And it was tough times. I was 13 years old, and no one was bringing in any money, so I had to go out. I had to stop my schooling and go work, and I did anything I could to provide. I did turfing, which nearly broke me, and just anything. And then I got to a point in my summer holidays where I was working 7 days a week, and went back to school, and I never completed a full week of school. And I remember my mum protecting me when, at the time, you had the truant officers come round, and they would threaten her and all this sort of stuff. But it was, do you want electricity? Do you want the lights on in the house or not? Do you know what I mean? Do you want food on the table? Um, so I worked, and I would give her as much of my money as possible, and I would save. And maybe a year later, I saved up and I did my CBT, and I was so pleased at passing my CBT. And then that summer, I gave my mum all of the money that I'd saved. And I said, Mum, will you please go and buy me a motorbike? Because I'm working. Literally, I was out the door before 6 a.m. and didn't come back until like after 10. And I wasn't out robbing or anything like that. I was working in the hotel. I wish I probably have done better, right? But I was in the hotel and catering industry, so I'd do pots and pans. I'd serve. As a kid, as a young teen, doing anything I could. I would clean floors. It didn't bother me. I'd paint. I'd do turfing. Anything I could. So weeks go by, and every night I would come home. And one night, my two brothers, sat on the stairs, and they said, "Mum's bought you a motorbike." And I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, she's bought me a Yamaha DT50. Oh yes!" I didn't even go in the lounge and say anything to my mum. I went straight through the kitchen, out to the back, and there was this shit box. Oh, FS1 SE, Yamaha Fizzy, 49cc. Absolute shitbox in black.
A Fizzy.
Yeah, Fizzy. But it had like
Iconic.
a trillion miles on it, and it was well beaten.
Ah,
And for the first time, I felt a little bit low, and I thought, you know what? My mum's done the best that she can for me. I'll relook at this in the morning. Went into the lounge, greeted my mum, thanked her ever so much, and she sorted out my insurance. Back then, you had to walk to go and see a broker. Sorted out my insurance, everything. And she even tried to give me the change. She's like, "Here's the change," and I'm just like, "No, Mum, thank you ever so much. I've got transport now. I can get away from the seaside town that I live in and go further afield and earn more money."
yeah.
And I'll tell you what, first thing I did was crash the motorbike. I put a Peapod helmet
Well,
on.
at least it wasn't a high-speed crash.
Oh, I took it down the road, and I took it to my place of work, and just before it was a zebra crossing, somebody wanted to cross, and I grabbed a fistful of that front brake and went down on my side. Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
worked for the rest of the day with scuffs and bruises all over me. Left the bike for 3 days, and then came back to it, and then started to get to know it. And yeah, it got me out of that not deadbeat, that's really bad. No, it wasn't that. It was just a dead end town. All right, I actually missed that town for its craziness. But if I hadn't have got my Yamaha, if my mum hadn't have got me that, I'd still be in that town right now. I never would have got to see the world. I never would have got to build the businesses that I've built. I would never have got to have ridden the motorcycles so I'm very much thankful to her. God bless her. But yeah, 49cc Yamaha.
Yeah, the Fizzy, well, the DT50 wouldn't have been anymore.
Oh man, still tell myself off for being so cheeky and thinking she'd got me a DT50. She knew I wanted a Yamaha.
And a Fizzy as well. I mean, if you...
Oh yeah, restricted, 28 mile an hour maxed out. I was.
It was pretty easy to unrestrict them, though, wasn't it?
Was it?
Just,
Yeah.
Yeah. There was I mean, I was a couple of years younger than my brother, so I was influenced easily, very, very easily influenced by my brother and all his mates and all of their Honda SS50s and Fizzies and what else was there? So there's SS50, there's a Fizzy, AP50, Suzuki AP50. They were all the same ilk. So there's the three super mopeds, if you like. They're not super bikes, super mopeds. Honda SS50, Yamaha FS1E, Suzuki AP50, and they all had them unrestricted. They all had them. They all had them with well, the two of them. One of them was a 4-stroke, and the other two were 2-strokes. So they had the 2-strokes had expansion chambers and expansion chamber exhausts and all of that. You could hear them coming from miles away.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I mean, great bikes to cut your teeth on.
Yeah, absolutely. All of my friends were better off than me, and so could get credit, or their parents get credit. I wasn't that lucky, so I had to kind of work my way to better bikes. And they've always, apart from 3 years, they've always played a part in my life. I'm more a biker than I am a car driver, to be fair.
Yeah.
And I will ride in pretty much all weathers, or I get caught in all weathers. But yeah, it was me on an FS1, a Fizzy, 49cc, and all my mates on DT125s.
If you'd unrestricted that little Fizzy, you'd have been able to show those DT125s a clean pair of wheels. I know that. I know that.
Honestly,
Yeah, I God,
no.
that sounds like there's a lot of weight on your shoulders as you were at that
Yeah,
age as a young man.
my responsibility, and I kind of, if anything, if anyone's watching, I miss my schooling. I wish I had have been able to have done my schooling.
Mm,
But at the end of the day, I had to provide, and then that has translated into my life now. So there's no silver spoon or anything like that. I have worked my ass off day and night to provide for my family and have what I have.
mm,
But I certainly don't lord it over everyone. It's kind of like in motorcycles. I've had a few comments on, and you do get them. Had a few comments on Twitter, and it's just that you're so lucky in that. And it's like, well, actually, I worked really, really hard to own this motorbike, and I love this bike.
yeah,
And I'm not trying to say that, my little Zephyr is better than anyone else's. It's just I have an appreciation for everybody's status. So I've had a few messages where there've been grown men, and they're kind of too shy to tweet the fact that they talk it, but they won't show you that they're on a 125, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're on a Chinese 125, you're on two wheels, dude. It's all good.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. It's like you know, the etiquette of
Bro.
passing another motorcyclist on the road, right?
Yeah.
I usually just wave. Actually,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
I'm not like this, hiya, hiya. I'm not like that. Bit of a
Oh,
cool wave. Can't look overexcited, can you?
all right.
Can't look overexcited. But I wave, and uh, whether you've got L plates on, you're on a 50cc, you're on, it doesn't matter to me, and I think, you know, yeah, I mean, we're all part of the same club, really.
We're
Um,
supposed to be, yeah. And there's few divisions out there, and some brands get a harder knock than others, and so that's got to be quite hard for the owners. But I don't see I don't think I've ever slated any brands out there apart from, like, when something goes wrong with your bike, it's not the brand's fault necessarily.
mm.
It's just how that particular machine has been to you at that time. I don't think any manufacturer goes out there predominantly to make a really awful motorbike, but prove me wrong. I'm sure somebody out there is way wiser than I am, and I've got some
uh,
amazing, like, Laverda bike.
uh,
I don't know.
yeah, you're right, though. I mean, some brands do get a bad rap. I mean, the red lurker in the background there, you know, not
Hey,
not not well known for their electrical prowess, if you like. Um,
yeah, I mean, things have moved on now because they're owned by the Audi group. So if you look at a modern Ducati, you'll notice those Audi clips on it's just typical VW group Audi electrical
mm,
components, and things have
mm,
really moved on a treat. So
mm.
Ducatis of old, yeah, they have their quirks. They still fancy a 90s monster like an M600, and I know it'll be as flat as a pancake, but they do make a nice booming sound. So we'll see about that one. But
So
there's a lot of new brands coming out. I don't know. There's BSA
you
who,
you you I remember Motorcycle Live.
yeah.
Uh, you put down a deposit on a BSA, didn't you?
I put in a pre-order on a BSA.
Yeah,
That was in writing as well.
yeah,
So that's an intent to purchase, and then
yeah.
all of that got forgotten about. So don't worry about me, BSA. But for being knocked back, I still haven't chased a BSA. I will have one. But what was really nice was at Motorcycle Live, I got to speak to the director of BSA. And, he is the guy that he is, okay? There's people above him and all that sort of stuff. But he took 45 minutes out of his day to talk to me,
Mhm.
man to man, about the sacrifices that he's personally made in order to bring this brand to where it is. So even though BSA haven't liked any of my tweets and don't care about my interest in them, I'm fine with that. They didn't have to show me any reverence, but I'm gonna have one. But I'm just going to wait until, I guess, I'll wait a year or so, and somebody somewhere will buy one and dote over it and run it in for me, and then offer it for sale,
Yeah.
and we'll see. Um,
Knock
I
knock 20% VAT off it straight away.
Yeah, I mean, something that nobody has been talking about online is the pre-production bikes at Motorcycle Live. They, with all the people getting on and off and on and off, they got a right battering.
I
And you,
saw that. I did see that.
you
Yeah.
saw that, yeah? You saw the
Yeah. Yeah.
wear
Yeah.
on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I recently got to meet a BSA that had been produced in India and shipped over here. And what blew my mind is they made appropriate changes to the bike. So the kick plate that your right foot would be next to at Motorcycle Live was plastic. Now it's anodized metal and it's a lot tougher, and it has a really nice finish on it. So, and that's just one example of the changes. So the bike looks the same, but they have made changes to it and hope it lasts, a lot longer. There's a lot of naysayers out there for any new brand that comes along. So I was very much aware when BSA started saying we're taking pre-orders. On social media, I'd see that people had been sent to the UK to put in a pre-order to get the bike, and that bike's going to be shipped abroad because there's some wealthy fat cat somewhere that can
Right.
afford to do such a thing, to have the first BSA in their country, whether it's a grey import or not. So there's a demand for these things. I'm a big fan of Royal Enfield, although I don't own one. I've worked on a few. I'd love an Interceptor. That'd be quite cool. But
Mm,
I'm no good at polishing aluminium.
mm.
That is just a big, big globe on the side of the engine. I'm thinking I'm going to wreck that. The engine cover itself. And so many owners out there have them all polished and lovely. And I'm just thinking mine will never be that beautiful. So I've held off.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. One of the lads at our lab, um, one of the engineers that actually does the testing, he's got a GS 1250 Adventure, uh, and every year, him and JT, the prof, and a couple of others go away down to Spain or France or wherever, and just take 2 weeks off and just go
Wow.
riding on the. They don't slum it, They're booking into decent hotels and
Lovely.
enjoying a nice cold beer at the end of the day as well, and then they're doing all sorts of things like they'll pop in and do an off-road experience here for a day and do
Wow.
something else there for a day and so on. So, but when I was down just after they came back this year, when was it? End of must have been beginning of August when they came back, and I was down at the lab, and I said to Andy, how did your couple of weeks go down in Spain? And he says, "Oh, it's brilliant, brilliant, absolutely amazing. We could have spent the whole day just speaking about the highlights. But he says, I'm already sorting out next year's trip and the year after."
Wow.
And the year, so 2024, he's talking about doing the Himalayas on Royal Enfields.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Now, that's
Well,
just,
you
I
have to make
want,
a passport.
I want some of that. I
Yeah,
want to, I want
definitely.
to be able to get into doing something like that. That would just be, I mean,
That'd be amazing.
you know, uh, when we're sitting down with my mates and we're just having a beer, and if we're away on the bikes for a couple of days and we're, those are great roads, blah blah blah, and we have some amazing roads in Scotland. But
That's true.
then we're thinking, well, what about Austria? The roads over in Austria are really good, and that, the whole thought of just going and doing the Himalayas on a Royal Enfield,
Oh, yes.
it makes it just puts everything else into
Yeah.
insignificance, doesn't it?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I need to. It's one of those sorts of things where you obviously you need to prepare for it, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking about other things like documenting it, doing the video documentation.
Cool. Good.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
So
Yeah, I mean, they're what, 24 horsepower? But any review I've ever seen of the Himalayas has been positive.
really,
So everybody has said that that motorcycle is capable in its own right and will. I don't know if anyone watches that Freddie Dobbs. Do you watch Freddie Dobbs? Do you know who he
no,
is?
no.
He's a YouTuber and Instagrammer, and him and his missus, they stayed in Tenerife for a while, but everything he outputs is all about motorbikes. I mean, this guy used to drive for Ocado, so that was
Okay.
his job. He just used to drive for Ocado and do a few YouTube videos on motorbikes. And now this is his career. He talks about his sponsors as clients, and just, people are queuing up to give him a motorbike to ride. And
Brilliant.
what I like about this guy is he is fairly down to earth. And when he did the review when he does a review of a motorbike, he doesn't big it up like a lot of reviewers do, and
Mm.
talk a whole load of nonsense. That it's the translation between you and I as motorcycle riders listening to somebody talking about a bike, and our BS meters going up into the red.
Ah,
And, yeah, and then somebody else talking about a bike, and you just know that they've ridden it, you know that they're communicating well about it, you feel as
mm.
if when you get on it, you know it.
Did you? I think I picked this up from you originally, actually, on Twitter. And uh, so when a lot of the bike reviewers are doing their review on a new motorcycle,
Yeah.
all of the reviews are very favourable reviews.
Oh, very, yeah. Or they
Yeah.
won't be there next time.
And then, a year later, there's another person from the same publication or whatever, and the review's crap.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a crap bike. Sorry, I don't mean the review is crap.
It's like any industry. I mean, a lot of us that are
Mm.
into motorcycles, I mean, I'm never going to be noticed because I spend my time on Twitter, and if it's the Instagrammers and the YouTubers of this world that are going on to the things that they want to do.
Yeah.
But when it comes to um, motorcycles and using social media about them, we are totally outgunned. And I talked about this on social. Okay, I talked about it in the respect that somebody was going, oh, nobody ever notices me and all that sort of stuff. And I'm thinking, yeah, don't worry, mate, nobody ever notices me. And then I went onto YouTube and I just bought a soup making thing, right? Blender, whatever it is. And so I thought I'd just go and watch a couple of YouTube videos on it in case there's some tips or tricks that I needed. A lady in her kitchen, nobody special, did a 8-minute review on one, 250,000 views. So forget it. On some of my videos, I have 139 views. We've lost it.
There's the, the
People
there's
know.
the there's the answer to your question,
So
Alex.
that's why motorcycle reviewers give an overly favourable response to their first ride, their first meet of that motorcycle, because they will never be invited again.
Yeah.
It's true. That's the feedback that I've got from them. They won't be invited again by that brand. Obviously, if they ride the motorcycle when they
Oh,
start.
sorry. You mean if they give a negative review, they'll never be invited
Give
back again.
if they give a neutral to negative review, so
Got it.
neutral or
Understand.
negative, they won't be back, and you know it. There's been plenty of reviewers out there that have gone, and you just know that they didn't get on with the bike, so they just start talking nonsense. And it happens frequently, and it's okay. It's just the industry, isn't it? I love the industry; it's great, but I've never been one for making out that something's way better than it could be, and I've certainly never contemplated just trying to instill that a particular brand is so good because of. That's what I love about motorcycles, the amount of choice that we get as bikers.
Mm.
Yeah, there's bikes for tall guys and girls. There's lower bikes. There's long bikes. There's
Yeah.
powerful bikes. There's something for everyone. So I kind of hope that we all get along, and I doubt many manufacturers wake up in the morning trying to knock out some more rubbish for us. But when I think about anyone's social media presence talking about motorbikes, and then I always instantly go to that food blender, that soup making machine, and just go, wow, 250,000 views, and all she was doing was a quick demo on a Breville soup maker. And then there we are doing pumping out our social media, doing everything we can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and you know, well, I create a little bit of video content. Don't create a
okay,
massive amount, just purely because it's so time consuming. But I do know the effort that's required to produce a shit video, and the difference between producing a an okay video.
yeah,
And we had lamb chops rides.
yeah, cool.
Yeah, we had Chopsy at the lab at the beginning of the
Right.
year. Super guy, lovely guy. And he's just exactly as he is on camera.
Lovely.
That's exactly how he is in person, and I like that as well. Um, I like that about people,
Yes.
Uh, and Chopsy came to the lab, spent, oh my goodness, I reckon, best part of a day with us at the lab. And he had a camera here and a camera there, and he had Bluetooth microphones, and
Yeah.
he knew exactly the content that he wanted to get
Okay.
from us
I remember
uh,
this. Yeah.
throughout this process. Yeah, and he he produced ultimately the content was about 25 minutes, just under 25 minutes long, and it was. I thought, I mean, okay, I found it particularly interesting because it was about us.
Yeah.
But you go and look at his other videos, and you see the effort that he goes to in
Yeah.
producing. So you can see how he's got the number of followers that he's got. He's
Yeah.
he puts in the research, gives his honest and fair opinion about something, and he also is a videographer as well. So he has to
Ah,
gain those skills.
yeah. Yeah. And
So
I
yeah,
don't have those skills. I was only tweeting today that I want to save old motorbikes, and I want to be able to buy them and work through their problems, fix them up, and then
yeah.
find some way of selling them or auctioning them or giving them away. But I don't have the video production skills. I'll just grab my phone. I'll just grab my.
That's but in all honesty, that's all you need, as long as your phone is on a tripod, and you've got decent quality sound. I mean, it's quite often. Where's the probably? But
I'm just.
yeah, so I use these Rode
Oh, that looks
little
nice.
Bluetooth, and that just fits into the either my digital camera or my phone, and it's just the little things like that that step up the quality of a video.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I looked at them and went, oh my god, that's expensive. But yeah,
Yeah. So that also brings me on to this series that I've picked up on that you're doing on Twitter at the moment, which I think is fascinating. MotoTingle finds bikes,
oh,
finds motorcycles.
I get positive and negative from it because I do bash the sellers. Not all the time, but I do see because I'm like you. I'm a buyer of motorcycles. So when it's time for me to buy a new motorbike, I have to look at the market. I don't believe anybody out there just looks and goes, well, I'll have a red CBR 600 and then just finds a red CBR 600 and buys it. We all do a little bit of research. We do the YouTube videos, and all I was trying to do with that series, all I'm trying to do with that series, is educate people on my own experiences of buying. So I
Mm-hmm.
read into what the seller is saying.
Mm-hmm.
um, and today there was a Yamaha 900, and the guy actually said in the advert that he'd got to the end of his tether with that bike and explained that it had a misfire. And I gave a few examples of what the misfire could be, but I will guess that it's probably a top end rebuild. And he wants money for it. And to you or I, a top end rebuild is, I'll just go and find another bike.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a challenge, and I'm just like, I'll make him a cheeky bid, and if he takes it, I won't be hard, but if he takes it, I'd love to make a little YouTube series out of figuring out what's wrong with this motorbike, and then I don't know what, I haven't thought it through yet, but that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to instill a little bit of sense into the buyer's market, and I've had quite a lot of positive feedback from people saying, I hadn't thought of that, that hadn't occurred to me. I see other sellers saying that, because there's a lot of legality to, you think, well, if I buy something and it's a duffer, I'll just take them to court and I will win. You won't if they word it right. You just won't win, because they're, it's caveat emptor anyway. But you can still actually take someone. You can take anyone to court. Someone could walk past you in the street, and you can take them to court. So you can take a seller to court, whether you're successful or not, is a different matter. But I would like the idea of buying motorbikes and filming the process and fixing them, and then finding a way to find them a good home. But I don't know. It's
So are you getting roasted by the owners of these people,
on occasion,
of these bikes?
Because it could be anything from, I've offended somebody because I've mentioned that it's a Suzuki that's broken, or I don't like the seller because such and such. And then what people have done is they've contacted the seller and they've said, hey, have you seen what Alex is saying about you? And then I've had messages from the seller going, you take that off the internet or I'll sue you. And it's kind of like, buddy, it's, you put it into the public domain. I am going to critique it as I get critiqued, but I will critique it in a safe way. So I've pointed out a motorcycle that was for sale. The seller was saying all the right things, and I zoomed in on the picture, and you could see that the brake lines were twisted, or the brake hoses, sorry, were twisted. And it was a bad repair and an MOT check. And so all I'm doing is affirming what I suspect is wrong.
Yeah.
Or I suspect that I saw that bike for sale for 500 quid. Now it's up to £1,500, like 2 weeks later, with an MOT on it.
Right.
Look, when the bike was 500 quid, it had no calipers on it. Now it's got calipers, but the hoses are twisted, or they're just dangling. They've just put super long hoses on it. So
yeah.
Sorry, I'm off.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I think that's I've found a few of those. I found a few of the videos that you've done. I don't see them all because I'm, I wish I could see all the content on Twitter. Well, actually, I'll take that back.
We get shown what we get shown.
yeah, the algorithm. Oh my goodness! I see my spaniel is just sitting there waiting at the other side of the glass door, going, "Why have you abandoned me this evening? Who are you speaking to? Who's more important than me?" It's Alex. Yeah, so clear off. Give me 2 seconds, Alex. Let me go and take honey through.
Oh, save the dog.
Come on then, here you come.
While I've got you all to myself, isn't he a great bloke? Isn't he nice? Not that he'll see this, because he probably won't edit it. Just chop great big bits out.
Sorry about that, buddy. Yeah, she's gonna settle down there. Okay. How's Hero?
Hero is just getting old, and he's a happy boy. So he'll be pleased to see me. But yeah, I'm riding a BMW R1150 RT at the moment, mostly. Although today I was on the Honda, and it's just a shame I can't take my dog with me. You see all these videos on social media with people putting their dogs on their motorbike, but I once put a pizza in a back box, and I rode from where I bought the pizza to home, opened the back box, and the pizza was smashed to pieces. So there's no way I'm putting a dog on my motorbike. It's such a shame.
Yeah. So is who's Buddy the biker dog? Have you seen Buddy the biker dog?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember how we first met?
Was it in a nightclub? Did we have a fight?
And if we did, probably won. So we actually, for any of the you out there that have heard of the helmet inspection company. I'm one of the more vocal people that's in favour of them, because I was actually going to take a particular company to court, because of how the industry had taught me. So this is the actual helmet, and there's your tag on it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, what had happened is this Schuberth helmet, which is fairly decent money helmet. It's not cheap, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Had gone back for some warranty work, and then was delivered back to me, and was damaged. So yeah, the switch for the sunglasses was broken off of the helmet. And at that
Okay.
point, I was like, because my helmet has been impacted, there is no way I can ever wear that helmet again. And the supplier's like, yeah, we'll just fix it. And I was like, yeah, well, I don't have a choice, do I? You're going to fix it. But now I can never wear that helmet ever again, because what we're taught is if anything happens to it, we are to dispose of our motorcycle helmets immediately. And there's plenty of videos out there where even the guy from Arai, if I've said it right, one of the reps from Arai in the UK is saying, if there's doubt, there is no doubt. Get rid of your helmet. If you think you've dinked it, get rid of your helmet. So I was furious. And I started tweeting about the bad service that I'd had and the fact that my helmet was damaged, and that all they've done is said, well, yeah, we'll just fix it. And I thought that that's not good enough. And then out of nowhere, you tweeted at me and you said, this is what we do for a living. We test helmets. And I was like, I think I tweeted at the time that there is no service in the world that does this, because if there was, I'd use it. And you said, here we are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up sending my helmet to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you saved me from taking them to court, because I had been taught from day zero of owning motorcycle helmets that if anything happens to it, and I've done this, the amount of helmets I've disposed of in the past because I felt that something's happened to it, or I've seen something happen to it, and I thought I can't trust that again. I need this to be viable for if that one day where something goes wrong and I hit the deck, I need this to be the best that it can absolutely be. And so you explained what you did, and I duly signed up and sent my helmet off, and that was just amazing. You sent me like the scans of the helmet, and I was just absolutely blown away by the service. You saved me from taking them to court, because that's how I believed the world was. You drop your helmet, you've got to replace it. They have to fix my helmet, replace it. And to this day, I've still got my Schuberth, and I still use it confidently. And yeah, so the service that you offer, I'm so thankful for, because my mindset at the time was stuck in the old world.
It is. I mean, if you think about the retailer or the manufacturer, if the retailer or manufacturer is not aware of the service that we provide, then their default position will be, yeah, it's the age-old narrative. If you drop it, replace it.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know the full details of the experience that you had with that Schuberth, but it, and then of course, if we we've come along and we're using science and technology
Yeah.
to do a structural test, do an integrity test on the helmet, and we can identify if there is any doubt. By the way, we don't supply any images now. Our
Okay. No.
insurance our
Yeah.
insurance
At the
broker.
time, you were just showing me my helmet, and that
Yeah.
for me, the process that you took me through changed my world for the better.
Mm. Mm.
It, it's something where we've been taught forever that if something happens, that's the end of our helmet. And I was to the supplier. I was saying, I sent you a perfectly good helmet. You sent it back damaged. I can never wear this again. Even if you fix it, I can physically never ever wear this again or trust it. I'm gonna have to bin it. You've just cost me a Schuberth, which I keep so tidily
Mm.
and look after.
Mm.
And they were nonchalant and did not care. And yeah, there was plenty of to and fro on social media until they ended up blocking me. And it wasn't me slagging them off. It was just me explaining my experience. You then taught me that visual inspections, because you've met the visual inspections where a helmet supplier has done a visual inspection on a helmet and then it's gone to you for scanning. And they've said, yeah, your helmet's fine. You've gone and scanned it and it's found not to be safe. And
Correct. Yeah.
that is shocking that people believe that this device that's there to save us can have some kind of person pull out the liner and look at whatever, you know the better terminology than I do, and make a determination. And I think it would be wise of anybody that wants to know more to go on your website and have a look at what you do. I'm not being paid for this, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's very. I was just going to say, Alex, it's very kind of you to plug the business. Yeah, it's. I mean, we're still in our early days, you know, but it is an outdated narrative now. And you know, what I don't want to do is say to people, yeah, if you've dropped your helmet, you know, 1 in 4, for example, let's say for argument's sake, 1 in 4 helmets, dropped helmets are actually okay. The problem with saying things like that is that someone could drop a helmet and go, well, 75% chance it's okay, you know, statistically speaking. And I just, you know, I think the narrative that we're trying to drive here is you just don't know. It's a complete lottery. It could look completely scrapped, you know, and when we test it, we find out it's just cosmetic damage, superficial. Or it could have fallen from a short height, still look okay, and you know there's damage in there that's safety critical. So it goes both ways completely to the far to each end of the rainbow, if you like, spectrum.
What I like the most is that the service that you offer is affordable. When you think most of us are running around with helmets in excess of £200, £200 would be considered a low-end helmet, but still advised by whatever standards. But a lot of us are running around with £300 to £600 helmets. So for the money that you charge for peace of mind, I recently, no, it was at the start of the year, I wanted an AVG AX9 helmet. And the seller had just said that they'd bought it and then they didn't want it anymore. And I said to the seller, if I buy, and so I'm talking about buying a second-hand helmet here because I was saving a lot of money. I said to the seller, when I buy this helmet, I'm going to send it to the helmet inspection company. And if it fails inspection, I will want a refund. And the seller agreed to that. And that gave me my peace of mind. I thought, what's another 40 odd quid in the grand scheme of things for knowing that it's never been dropped. So I don't know why they're selling it, you know, but I knew I was saving money at the time. And that was the first time that I've ever bought a second-hand helmet because I felt confident enough that your service would let me know that it was safe.
Wow, yeah, I'm amazing. I mean that does it does bring in the sort of safety element to a purchase, a second-hand purchase of a helmet. You know, it's.
I'm not saying people should go out and do that.
Yeah.
It was my experience of the grief that I got for doing it. People are like, you don't buy a second-hand helmet. I mean, people do. There's loads of showies and Arais on eBay of people.
I've bought some real scrappers off eBay just to make a point, you know. 20 quid here,
wow.
20 quid there, you know. One of the you know, as part of the ECE, well, it's 2206, but ECE 2205. I mean, I won't be able to. It was another top up there. Cheers, pal. Yeah, I can't recite ECE 2205 verbatim, but I believe that one of the tests is that on impact, the visor should not be separated from the helmet. So I was doing a little. Well, I was in the process of creating a little video to explain how the shock wave does not get dissipated during an impact of a traditional motorcycle helmet. The shockwave travels straight through that EPS liner. Yeah. So I bought a couple of scrappy old helmets off eBay, and I was trying to tape in an egg into the inside of the helmet. Yeah, no, very scientific. Yeah, actually, it's I got the idea from the prof, JT. He said, yeah, just put an egg in there and drop the helmet, and you'll see what will happen. And that's what happens to your brain. So anyway, I dropped the helmet. The egg flew out and went way down the road, and I don't know whether it cracked when it was in the helmet or when it flew out. But the first thing I noticed was the visor just went, just flew off. And that was just a drop from waist height. So you to give up. Yeah, I mean,
in my simple non-science brain, when I sat down and the professor was talking to me, a lot of the misconception that people have about the service that you offer is that you just fire a laser at it and then that's the answer. The professor was explaining it in way better detail than I can, but he was talking about the temperature change, and it was over 3 degrees Celsius, and that was then translated over the entire, and it wasn't what people think, because I get the odd comment now and again where people are like, oh, what happens when it's tested? And I try and explain it as mediocre as I can. But the prof explained it in a way that I just went, oh, because most people just think you're firing a laser at something, and then you get an image and that tells them, but it's not.
No.
The professor was telling me it was how the material responds to a temperature differential, which is only 3 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
But the equipment is so sensitive, it can then relate to what's happening with and some amazing stuff happens.
Yeah, it does need to be particularly sensitive. So its sensitivity, I think, is about 100 nanometers, which is so that's capable of identifying the flu virus, for example. Yeah, so it's that level of.
But this is also the same equipment exactly the same equipment he was telling me that he uses with the RNLI contract. So the same stuff is being lasers are being used to scan the hulls of RNLI lifeboats.
Yeah, because they're carbon fiber hulls.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So if the RNLI trust what you're doing and the science behind it, when a biker comes to me and they're like, it's all nonsense. It's kind of like, dude, you're missing the point.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, I think we've been described by quite a few people now as being disruptors in the market. We've got something that is a new application for a technology that's been around for 25, 30 years, right? So the aerospace industry have been using this technology to, look for stress on and damage on airplanes, fuselages, wings, turbine blades, all of those things. So all we've done is we've scaled it down and just applied it to motorcycle helmets, because I'm a passionate biker, and JT is, and quite a few of the rest of the guys who are in the lab are. We just the other thing as well is when we opened our doors on the 1st of July last year, we had no idea. We just thought, right, we'll just stick with motorcycle helmets because we know bikers, we are bikers, and we'll resonate more with bikers. And then we get one of the aerospace defense, big, massive American companies say, we've got this new fighter pilot helmet here. Can you test this for us? Because they've got, I think the cost, once you add all the value to that helmet, it's about 25 grand, right? So you don't want to be putting 20 odd grand's worth of equipment onto a $5,000 shell that's not going to be
Right.
structurally sound, you know. So, and then then we got approached by the RAF luge team, the winter sport. You know, the luge. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's like, right. So it's a bit like bobsleigh, right? But it's the guys that go down on a single board on their backs down this sort of
Oh,
bobsleigh
the
track,
scrape
right?
back of the helmets. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So they've got a pile of helmets for their winter games. The RAF take part in the winter games, so
Okay.
they're preparing for the winter games. They're sending us a pile of their helmets, and they're all uh,
Okay.
at the lab at the moment. That's equestrians.
Equestrian.
Equestrians. Yeah.
But
Um,
you are disrupting the industry because you've messed with the natural order of things.
yeah.
And the
Yeah.
natural order is, if in doubt, and those are the words that the Arai guy said. There's
Yeah.
videos doing it. If in doubt, there is no doubt. Carry your helmet.
Hmm.
And it was just kind of like, that's why we dote over our helmets. There's very few of us out there that are running around with rubbish helmets. We're all kind of very, very careful with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. And you know, people are not sending us a helmet just on a whim. You know,
Yeah.
they suspect that there's maybe something. It's either aged, it's either gone beyond the manufacturer's recommended serviceable life, 3 to 5 years or whatever it is. Um, Different manufacturers have got different recommendations, or it's been dropped, or one of their mates has dropped it, or you know whatever. But we're always, you know, there's always a story behind each helmet
Yeah.
that we see. So yeah, we are disrupting. It's relatively new. If you think about the message that we've been it's been drummed into us as bikers over decades, drop your helmet, just replace it. That's the best thing you can do, right? Okay, well that's now an outdated narrative. And you don't need to send it to landfill because these
Yeah.
things are not recyclable either.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
And
Um,
if it costs me 40 quid, I've dropped my helmet, it costs me
yeah,
£40, which is 40 quid either way, but I get to know that that helmet lives on. You know, obviously with reasonableness. If there's a
yeah,
chunk out my helmet or the
yeah,
paint looks all damaged, I'll probably
yeah,
then
yeah,
do it.
yeah. I mean,
But
if
if I've
one
dropped it and it
if
looks all
one
right,
side of it is flat, for example, then then it's unlikely to be serviceable. If you've been trying to recover from a low side using your head, then it's
don't send.
unlikely. Don't send it to save your 40 quid. Yeah, just put your 40 quid to buying
Okay.
a new one. Yeah. There was we've got another helmet inbound on its way to us just now. £4,000. And this is for a motorsport helmet.
Well,
Uh, a Bell helmet. Um, Anti-ballistic protection, ABP helmet. I mean, I
okay.
don't know if it's £4,000 including the paint job, or you know,
Okay.
so it's still a £3,000 helmet plus a grand's paint job, isn't it? So
Nice.
yeah, no, fascinating. Well, I say that fascinating. That was a bit.
It is. It is though. If you and to the viewers, it is something that goes against the grain. So yeah, you're busy disrupting things, and who's to say? 10 years from now, when it becomes common practice for us to walk into a motorcycle shop that sells helmets, for them to say, if you're not using it this winter, we'll have it there and back in a week, you know, and we test it for this amount of money. That
Yeah.
would be convenient to me if I'm not riding through the winter. There's
Mm,
so many options for the future for it to blossom,
mm,
but I care about my. It's easy to argue that if I just go and buy a new helmet for 500 quid, then I'm safe. But
mm,
at the end of the day, I care about the safety equipment that I have, and it's not bothering me to have my helmet tested every 12 months just to make sure.
mm.
It's £40 here and there. It's worth it to me to say, off we go again, because they talk about time as well, don't they? The manufacturers.
Right.
Like,
As in the age of your helmet, yeah.
right.
I think
Uh,
RI give you a 7-year
oh,
serviceable life period.
All right. That's good.
Some of the others are 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
So,
All right.
um,
It can vary.
but I think, well, 3 to 5 years is quite that's quite a span actually to say. Well, it's roughly 3 to 5 years. All right. Well, okay. Is that 3 years, or is it 5 years, or is it 4 years? Well, that depends on how you've used it.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
It's too much. I think there's too much ambiguity around the safety credentials of a helmet, and I think that. So for me personally, I think that the manufacturers, whether this is by design or not, I don't know, but I think that they should be more. They should provide more information about why have they put this 3 to 5 year lifespan on. Why do I have to replace it when I drop it? Well, this, we know exactly why. Because we know how the damage would manifest itself on a helmet.
Okay.
So it would be nice for a consumer to have that level of education as well, rather than
So,
because the manufacturers are just saying, well, it's a blanket statement, just replace it if you've dropped it.
yes, that's what I was taught.
Yeah, but 500 quid helmet, you know, can you please just give me a little bit more justification before I go and give you another 500 quid? So I think that they don't help themselves in some cases, and now that may be by design, and it may be because their legal advisors have just said to keep it that way. But I don't know.
But
I'm not.
and I'm not. I, as a helmet manufacturer, would probably be quite smart to go. Actually, every 2 years we offer a recertification program, which
Mm,
then sends they clean it, whatever, send it to you, and it comes
mm.
back with some form of certification. But yeah, like you say,
Yeah, we've
they'd
been
rather
looking
sell
into.
you a new fridge freezer than fix your old one. That seems to be the way of the world.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. We were looking into refurb service. So it just feels quite difficult. It's like every bloody helmet has got different visor fitments. Uh,
Oh,
so you have to train people on
right.
on every single different type of visor that every single helmet will have on the market. Then you've got the availability of replacement cheek pads and so on. You don't need to go far into this thought process to realize, oof, it sounds good, but actually it's actually quite difficult to do that. I would love a service like that as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's so
So, back
mm,
to motorbikes. I
back
know
to
you've got
bikes, back to
a
bikes.
lovely Ducati, which we don't get to see enough of on social media. So I think you're not helping us there by not spamming our timelines with it.
So the reason for that, Alex, and you'll probably appreciate this as well, is that it's my one and only bike. Okay,
That's
I, and it's
I'm good with
an amazing bike. I got it. I picked it up when it was 7 years old. It's now 10 years old. I picked it up when it had 3,000 miles on the clock,
not even run in.
and now it's got 15,000, and I'm going to need a Desmo service pretty soon. So, I've done 12,000 miles in 3 years. Uh, so yeah, I do use it, but I don't know. It's just I, I'm not comfortable about posting up photographs of my bike all the time, and because my Twitter feed, my Twitter account is actually a company account,
Oh right,
so
that's a
so
really good use. Yeah, yeah.
so I don't feel comfortable about doing that. So it's because it's like, oh, look what I've got. And
Okay. Well, I guess the next question is, assuming you were going to part exchange your Ducati, what's the next bike? There must be something there.
oh yeah, yeah,
Oh, tell us.
yeah,
What
yeah,
is it?
but without a doubt, yeah, it's a 1299 final edition.
Final edition.
Yeah, yeah,
Tricolor.
yeah,
Yeah.
tricolor, yeah, with the wheelbarrow a Krapovic
Yes, yeah. I want one
exhaust.
too, but I
Yeah.
cannot get near one.
Oh,
I've seen them. I've never
oh,
ridden one, but it's
oh,
gorgeous, isn't it?
just a stunning looking bike. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
absolutely.
the problem is I ride my bikes,
Mm.
and I can't help feeling that the final edition is maybe a bike that needs to not have
You
so many
really?
miles put onto it.
Yeah, you've got to. Yeah.
Uh, so I don't know. I
We
mean,
can't take them with us.
definitely not. No.
So
Yeah.
the way I look at it is, I'm not here to abuse the motorcycles that I have. It's really a matter of I'm not going to have a Garage Princess CB750 which just has the covers brought off of it once a year to.
Yeah.
No, I use it in the wet. I clean it, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm no valeter or anything like that, but I clean and maintain my motorcycles as best I can and give them the use that they need. But yeah, I understand what you're saying with the final edition.
But you did
It,
ask the question, and
yeah, I had
that's that,
to know.
and
Yeah,
that's the bike. That's just I mean, I think the 1199 was it just popped up on Facebook Marketplace one day, um, and I'd test ridden an S1000 RR,
okay.
and I thought, "Oof, yeah, actually, I quite like this bike. Um, I mean, if nothing else, for the lean angle indicators
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
get. So I think
Pretty
I,
good
I think I
driving.
got a decent I think I got a decent lean angle to put the bike back to the dealer with.
Oh,
So I thought, yeah, that's just such a competent bike. Um, I went back to the BMW dealer, took the bike back, and the sales guide said, "Well, listen, he says if you want to put your name down for one, I don't need to take a deposit because if you don't want it, I can always sell it, so don't worry about that." So I said, "Yeah, put my name down then."
yeah.
So it's quite a long time to wait for this bike. So in the meantime, Facebook Marketplace shoved this 1199 Panigale, which was only 4 miles away from me,
Convenient.
in under my nose, and the rest is history. But I think uh, you know it's a lot of bike for the road. I
Yeah,
think yeah, track, brilliant. I mean, it's a track bike clearly, but I came out of a Daytona 675R,
oh, nice.
Triumph 675R, which was no slouch.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
And
great.
yeah, superb bike. And to go from that, because there would be occasions when I'd be out with my mates and they're all on liter bikes, and they're eventually catching up with me once I'm on the straight. But in the twisties, it's just a corner seeking missile, the Daytona. And maybe on the streets a couple of times I'd be thinking, oh, I could do with a little bit more power here to stop these guys humbling me. But I think an 1199 is probably too much for the road. Uh, and I would have been equally as happy with an 899 or a 959. Had a shot one of my mates 959s, and that's a beautiful, beautiful bike as well. So yeah, maybe a bit of a vanity purchase.
I don't know. I mean, it's a great looking motorcycle. I know what you're saying about the 959s. I've sat on one and it fitted really well. And I
Yeah.
had a thing for the I had a thing for them. I still do. That's why I'm messing my words up now because I'm daydreaming about one. But I'm just
Yeah.
down to one Ducati, and I think that'll be it for the moment.
Mm, mm. So oh, lost your video
Any further
there.
on iPad? Stupid question.
Yeah. So uh, let me turn that question back around to you then, Alex.
Me?
Yeah. So you know, what would you like? What would you really like to have? I mean, you've got some cracking bikes there, but what would you like to have sitting there?
Oh God, the list is endless.
I know it's a big long list, but
It,
surely
it,
you must. I mean, it is for me as well. I would like the other one. The other one that I think is Motorcycle Live, right?
yep.
Langen.
Oh, now you're talking. You need deep pockets for one. The guys
What?
were great, weren't they?
Well, they were really good.
They
Yeah,
were really, really.
Chris. Oh, I can't remember Chris's name. Connected with him on LinkedIn. Uh, yeah, Chris.
I mean, we saw two of the guys from Langen at the hotel, and they were sat there with that empty bottle of bubble of champagne or whatever, and two empty glasses.
Yeah,
And I was like, what are they doing drinking that? And I'd stupidly thought that is a really funny drink for a couple of quite burly guys to be drinking, but they just decided to sit on that table, and that was what they were left with. So
that's right.
it was a good conversation starter, I suppose. But
Mhm,
they were so into their boss
mhm.
and his vision for the business, and that the
Yeah.
business was actually doing other things for other motorcycle manufacturers, so that creation of their motorcycle wasn't their primary
Mhm.
objective. Boy, is it good looking.
Oh, do you
Beautiful.
know Emma? Emma. Oh my goodness, her surname escapes me. Sorry, Emma, if you're watching this. The deputy editor, one of the deputy editors at MCN, she got to ride one.
Ah, okay. Jammy.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I watched
No.
the videos on YouTube. Mhm.
Mm. I think Brave going to bringing out a two-stroke when
Yeah,
you could see the
absolutely agree.
shift towards electric as well at Motorcycle
Yeah,
Live, couldn't you?
you could, but they get in the orders, and the
Mm.
orders are coming in, and they are selling them. And it's something that you or I, if a business proposal came in like that, would probably go, do you know what? This isn't the right time. Talk to me about electric or a four-stroke or something like that. You don't want to be
Mm.
talking to me about a two-stroke, fuel-injected V-twin that's milled from beautiful pieces of aluminium, put together by artisans, and just looks amazing. It
Yeah,
is a
yeah,
really fancy bit of jewelry that's
yeah.
purposeful. And yeah, what a
It's stunning looking bike. I just so wanted the guys to start it up so I
yeah,
could
absolutely. Well, we
so I could
tried
hear it.
flagging them at Motorcycle
Yeah,
Live, didn't
yeah,
we?
yeah.
They weren't having none of it.
That. They probably filled the whole place up full of blue smoke.
Oh yeah, empty. Oh god.
Come on, guys, it's Motorcycle Live.
So, to answer your question, what's next? What's next is the XSR 900, and that is the first triple Yamaha that I've had in 30 years. So, my son's mother, when she met me, I was riding like an XS 750 triple, but it had been chopped. So it was a chopper, had the Grim Reaper on it and all that sort of stuff. And she rode on the back with my son inside of her womb. And then I don't know, things changed and I got rid of the bike and that. And then I've not had a triple since. And yeah, recently I got to know a few people that had MTO9s and stuff like that. And I just thought, wow, this is my chance to get one of the last triples out there before we go fully electrified in this industry. So I thought I'd buy a new triple.
So the XSR 900 triple engine. Yeah. I remember. So I do. I think those Triumph triples that
Oh,
Hinkley chuck out are absolutely sublime. I mean,
yeah.
I think if I think if I think Triumph are missing a trick with not coming out with a liter version of the Daytona.
Wow, okay. Mm,
You
yeah.
know,
But Triumph are getting a little bit ahead of themselves because I forget what it's called. The triple that they've got at the moment, the triple 1200, that's £18,500. You've got to be kidding me. That's
Oh, is that the speed triple?
triple. What in the world is going on there? That is, I mean, it's divisive with the single headlight. Not people don't like it. People like it. £18,500.
Yeah.
And so I went to my local dealer and I'm doing something else. And then I see this £18,000 Triumph. Not that Triumph aren't worth 18 grand. It's just for the fact that it was next to its counterpart, and its counterpart was the standard version. And that
Mm,
was like 11,250, something like that at the time.
mm.
And I just thought, yeah, I can see that this bike's got Öhlins, and I'm sure it's Wizzo and everything, but the one at £11,000 actually caught my eye more. I had a better appreciation for it. So I'm sure there's a market for it, but I'm one of the naysayers that actually that motorcycle is a naked, that they put a nose cone on, done some trick bits to, but I can't myself justify. It's kind of like, would you buy it? Is £18,500 acceptable for what you're getting? And I don't think it is, but I've never really wanted to buy it.
Mm.
But yeah,
I,
I kind of went between the two, and I
so,
thought the one at 11 grand looked bloody lovely.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not, it's not the one that you're talking about, the one with the nose cone. It's almost like a cafe racer type nose cone,
It
isn't
is
it?
like a cafe racing.
Yeah, that look just doesn't appeal to me at all. But
Okay.
each into their own, you know.
I walked up to it honestly thinking it was going to be 12,500. £12,500 is when I walked up to it. I thought that's what it. And when I saw 18,000, I wasn't being rude or anything. I said to the guy, "Is for real? £18,000 for this?" But only because the standard bike looked so good and
Yeah.
it looked so wholesome
Mm.
for the money that the £18,000 one would be for me a vanity thing. It would be, I must have the Olins, I must have whatever it takes to make me fancy. And yeah, so I'm not knocking the bike. I'm sure it's absolutely amazing, but
Yeah.
I didn't feel. I've never looked at Triumph. I'm not against Triumph. I've never looked at Triumph as that super premium brand, but then I do like a rocket.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Right.
I do
Yeah.
like the old rocket.
You're
I like the modern rockets. I don't know why
yeah.
I own a rocket. I need to own a rocket.
Yeah. Yeah. It's up there with the Diavel and the
Ah,
rockets and
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Hey, the guy that I get tires from, who I'm on first name terms with, and I get a Christmas card from him every year. No, I
Oh,
don't. No, I don't actually. It's just that I've gone in there, again there so often, you know. Um, but he was explaining to me that actually that what's there a shortage of? So one of the components that you use to make tires is carbon black,
yeah.
and oh, 40% of carbon black is comes from
Okay.
Russia.
Oh no. So we're going to see the return of white tires, are we?
I don't think it's just the colouring effect that that it's used for. I don't know. I'm no tire expert, but so then he was explaining to me whether this is true or not. I don't know, but he was explaining to me that there's this hierarchy of so when there's a restriction in terms of one of the products that's used, carbon black, then they start to implement a hierarchy, and I think the defense and
Okay.
defense first, then it's air airplanes, and then it's road cargo, and then it's uh, standard vehicles, and then it's motorcycles. And then
Yay!
even within motorcycles, you think right at the bottom of the pile, but then even within motorcycles, you've got tires that are quite low volume, low production
Oh,
volume, like the Diavel back tire.
oh no.
Right, so what's that? Is that 240, a 260 profile? Not profile, but
Yeah.
the wide bit. So apparently, there's just if you've got a Diavel or a Rocket that's got one of these enormous back tires on it,
B-Rod.
you're gonna struggle to get a replacement for them. And I bet you with the torque that those things chuck out, then
Yeah.
back tires are not going to last too long.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a Harley Davidson V-Rod VRSCF, and it would eat rear tires.
Mm,
It was just so hungry for them.
mm,
The amount of torque that these big bikes produce.
yeah.
You can come away from traffic lights not pulling too hard, but if the traction control is not available, not on your bike, it will destroy tires. Yeah.
Mm.
Oops.
I've noticed that on my bike. I mean, I still ride my bike, my 1199, in a very similar way to how I rode the Daytona, the 675 Daytona. So I
What,
used
screaming it?
uh, well, anything above 7,000 revs. It doesn't even it doesn't come to life until 7,000 revs.
Okay.
But if I take it gently and then use the higher gears, it rips the shred. It shreds the back tire, just because of the torque that's going to the back tire. When I'm thinking I'm feathering it, going up a hill in sixth gear and giving it a bit of throttle, it's just destroying the back tire. So you're better just knocking it back down into fourth or even third, and just keeping the revs up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we where so I mentioned that going winding the clock back here a wee bit, but I mentioned the Himalayas
Yes.
on an Enfield, a Royal Enfield.
Lovely.
What would be your dream trip?
I don't know if it's kind of a dream trip or more of a future thing. So I've got this daft idea in my head that I want to go and live on the Canary Islands. And so I want to buy a house or an apartment out there, and it's going to limit me on what motorcycles I can have. Because for some reason on the Canary Islands, they don't seem to want to insure anything over 500cc, which is crazy. So
Okay.
why I'm dragging it out. But there aren't many there are super bikes on the islands, don't get me wrong. So it's actually opened my eyes to looking at lower capacity bikes like the BSA,
Yeah.
and like the Royal Enfields, and getting to grips with those, rather than, and I'm not trying to do this too quickly, but my other option was to take my XT over there, put it on a trailer, take my Yamaha XT over there, and then
Was that what an XT? What was it?
XT 660. Yeah, it's a little bit more than they want insurance. You can get insurance. So I guess my dream ride would be being able to have my R1 on the Canary Islands, but it's just a daft thing. So it's never going to happen. I'll never be able to afford the insurance. So it's made me look at smaller capacity bikes as a thing to muse on, really, and see how I get on with them. And so when you were saying the Himalayan, and I'm thinking Royal Enfield Himalayan, I'm not against a bike like that. I mean, 24 horsepower, the reviews are great. So that could be cool for island life.
Mm.
The other side of the coin is, I've got that R1150 RT.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
racking up the miles on that. That was an 800 quid bike.
Brilliant.
So £800, 50,000 miles on the clock, and just barely running. And I've got it to a state where it's a runner, and I absolutely trust it. And I've been doing a lot more miles. So I think what's in my head right now is to get a 1200 RT and maybe come up your way.
Uh-huh.
I've got to
Yeah.
see the Kelpies. I've got to have a look. I
Oh,
hear there's good
they're
food
well they're
there.
well south, yeah.
Yeah. And I also want to do the what are they calling it? Trooping of the Colour or whatever it is at the castle, Edinburgh
The
Castle.
Royal Mile.
The Royal, whatever it is. Yeah, I want to go and see that. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But
Trooping of the Colour, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
okay.
usually
Well,
over.
I think I would like a 1200 RT, and I would like to spend a bit more time
Yeah,
up in Scotland because, as you say, the roads are fantastic. I have been to Scotland on occasion,
yeah,
and something that totally blew my mind is I'm down in Devon. Car drivers don't give way to motorcycles. They'll do everything they can to stop you from overtaking down here. They just don't like us. Um, Whenever I've ridden up in Scotland, and it was a few years ago now, I found that car drivers would indicate left to say, go on.
yeah,
Fine. A
yeah,
absolutely wonderful way to treat motorcyclists.
yeah.
And yeah, so I'd really like to go and explore a bit more of Scotland. And it's the people as well. When I have some great memories of being up there last. So I'd like.
I mean, I feel extremely lucky uh, to have some of the best roads and in the country on my doorstep, and and I'm still in reasonable distance from civilization.
Okay.
Although it takes 8 bloody hours to drive down to our lab, and I'm
8 hours.
East Midlands, and
Oh,
I've got and I'm heading down on Saturday morning as well. I'm going to the so the reason why I'm heading down Saturday morning, this is a bit like Billy Connolly and his little offshoots in the conversation, but
all right.
um, so there's a there's a chap that I'm connected with on LinkedIn, a guy called Phil Abbott, and he's the managing director of Revolution Race Cars.
Nice.
So they've got this sort of it's called what's it called? It's called the Sports Prototype Cup,
Okay.
and they're at Donington. So there are
Uh,
two types of two manufacturers of cars compete in this series,
all right.
and they're at Donington on Sunday.
Brilliant.
So I'm heading down. I'm going to drive down on Saturday, stop over with the prof for a couple of nights, and we're gonna head over to Donington on Sunday and check out the Revolution race cars. They are
That's
just they are awesome, awesome, awesome cars. I mean, yeah, I mean, go and check them out online as well. Revolution.
okay. I'm
In fact,
over at Alton Park this weekend with British Superbikes. So
yeah, I know you are. So here's my
Mercedes.
it's no, it's Revolution.
Oh God. Sorry,
It's,
Revolution. I
yeah,
know motorbikes,
Phil,
I
it's
know
okay,
cars.
Phil. Yeah. So here's my.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not sponsored by anyone, but
Donington,
why not?
well, my love of Donington started a long time ago,
Yeah,
and then I get this invite to go to Ron Haslam Race School,
yep,
and yeah, so I took them up on the offer of coming up, and they weren't. It was a year before they closed, and that was just absolutely amazing experience. I got to ride a Honda 650 sports bike, and then I got to go on a Fireblade. And I remember that Donington Park Circuit, being the sort of circuit that it is, half of it's dry and the other half of it's raining. And so I'm going around a dry track and then into heavy rain. And I probably did about 4 laps on a Fireblade before I pulled into the pits. And the instructor pulled in behind me and he went, "What?" And I went, "Thank you very much. That was a lovely, lovely experience. And I'm just going to, leave it at that for now and let you get on with other students. And I'm just going to go and drink coffee for the rest of the day." And he went, "No, Alex, that is not why you're here. You're here to learn how to ride on a race circuit." And I'm like, "Yeah, but this is not working for me." And he's like, "Just follow me." So I did a couple of laps following him, and the guy was amazing. I forget his name because I'm so bad with names, but I can tell you what he was doing. He was in ahead of me, and with his left hand behind him, he was not making gang signs, but he was telling me what gear he was in with his hands. And so it worked. My brain took it in as to what gear to be in, and then he signaled for me to take over. And I'm telling you, I was doing amazing. For myself, I was doing amazing in the wet. and all of my confidence came back, and I felt so. Yeah, I think it's a shame that I can't get more track time really, because I absolutely loved it.
Well, I've got I inherited a trailer, a bike trailer,
Nice.
right,
Okay.
last year. And no, actually, beginning of the year. And I promised myself that I would just hook it up to the pickup,
Okay.
fire the Panigale onto the trailer, hook it up to the pickup, and take it down to Donington
Oh,
for a business meeting, of course.
of course.
No, it's always a good excuse to go and visit the guys at the lab, of course. But get a track day in there as well. Oh my goodness! I was at BSB at Donington last year with me and the prof. We went there. I think it was it must have been about this time of the year, maybe October. It was the last time. It was the last race for Donington, and oh my goodness, what an amazing looking track, you know. And I remember
Yeah,
walking around quite a lot of the track and thinking, oh, I just so want to get my bike on this
yeah,
track and just
exactly.
give it some
Yeah.
beans. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah,
It's a for me as a complete novice, I found that track moorish. I absolutely loved it, and I've been
yeah,
there with race teams. I've seen I've seen very expensive motorcycles ridden by novices such as me go down the straight and bin it on the first corner, and watch very expensive bikes. That was so
yeah,
painful to see.
yeah,
But I've also seen novices turn into intermediates, turn into very skilled riders,
yeah,
thanks to Donington Park. So I've got a lot, and the cafe there is pretty good. The food they do, fantastic, really, really good.
yeah,
And you're always going to bump into somebody that you recognise in motorcycling. You're like, what? What are you walking
yeah,
around with us? Normals.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
no, I love it. So hopefully I'm going to meet up with Phil and his team on Sunday, and then Monday's a day for business at the lab, catching up with the guys and just going through a few things, and then back up the road on Tuesday. But yeah, 8 hours. I like to download podcasts and listen to.
yeah, me
So
too.
the likes of Teapot One,
Mm.
Teapot One, and Chrissy and Dom on Chasing the Racing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love their podcasts as
Banter.
well. They're great. So, and then you can listen to, 3 podcasts
Mm. And you're there.
and you're there,
Yeah.
and you think, oh, how
I
did
know.
that happen? Brilliant. Alex, it's been lovely speaking with you.
Thank you.
I know that we could probably go on for many, many more
Hey,
hours. In
you're the
fact,
one
we
that gets to edit all of this into
and
something that makes sense.
and we and I'll edit that out.
Okay.
And no, I'm not joking. No, I was just saying that we could go on for hours and hours longer, and we have done as well. It was a brilliant time we had at Motorcycle Live,
Yeah.
uh, and
And you're
yeah,
up there this November? At
this
Motorcycle Live?
December. It's December, isn't it?
November. I think the
It's
time.
November.
Yeah, it's gone to November now.
Oh, I didn't
Off the
know
top
that.
of my head. Anyway,
Okay.
we could Google.
Yeah, I'll probably have a look at it. Pop down. I mean, we won't be. It's not the sort of thing that we would be exhibiting at. We just don't have the resources at this point in time, Alex. So yeah, it's always good to get a good. I don't think that I'll go for 3 days this time.
Okay.
Uh, Maybe spend a couple of days or a day there and mix that in with a trip to the lab again. But no, so well, it'd be good to see you again if you're heading along and
Yeah,
catch up with a few more people whilst we're there.
that's really good.
Good, excellent. Well, as I say, brilliant speaking to you again, Alex.
Thank you.
Keep up the work on your MotoTingle finds bikes.
All right. I'll try and find some fun ones.
Yeah, good man. Okay,
Thank you.
take care.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers, Alex. Bye.
Bye.